Welcome to the British Football Comic Podcast, the number one football comic-based podcast, the only podcast that can bring to life teams like Cowback Valley FC, Manchester City, Everpool, Warbury Warriors, then the mighty Riverton United and Melchester Rovers, reliving the great matches alongside those European nights under the lights and many magical moments. I'm your host, Paul the Tangential One Richardson. Joining me in this episode, some say he can't do accents. Some say they all sound the same. Some say they are all very scary. Some say they're all very funny. It can only be bygone Grandad Gangster Surty Judith Chalmers Brinsden Berrigan.
Hola.
I was just say R.I.P. Judith Chalmers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, actually, of course, very sad news this week. Yeah,
some person who I did appreciate her job. I'd love to have done her job. Was it a job? Busman's Holiday.
Exactly.
Good show as well, Busman's Holiday. But yeah, thank you. Yep. Look about to tonight's show.
Excellent. Well, you've heard them already in the background because they can't contain their excitement being on another pod. But next up, this presenter, well, he can do accent. Well, at least we saw in the last pod, he did a fantastic Welsh one when he delivered the David and Goliath of stories. It is the time traveller, Ian Golden.
Absolutely, to be sure, I'm back again. No, sorry, yeah, wrong Celtic nation. But no, thanks very much, Tangent. Yeah, looking forward to doing this one today, and I'm back to Roy of the Rovers again.
Hey, with that Welsh slant, it does bring some magic to it, doesn't it? Well, last but not least, I'm not sure if he does accents. One thing's certain, though, he has the power to mute them all. Yes, it is mute button Matt Richards.
Hi, yeah, Tangent. Yeah, good to be here, everybody. Yeah, looking forward to this show. Yeah, it should be a good one.
Good. Well, let's just say, unfortunately, there will be no accents from beyond the grave this episode because the podfather is a little bit under the weather. I'm not sure if it's heat stroke or not, but unfortunately can't be with us tonight. But that brings us, I like to keep a swift pace on the pod. Onto the running order. First up, we're going to have the social media feedback, otherwise known as Melvin's Musings. Mute button there. He's taking a swig of water. There's a lot to get through. He's preparing himself. Then there's the next installment of the amazing read back through the Roy of The Rovers comics, and we're up to 1986-87 season from the Time Traveller. Then part 5 of the comic book life of not many people know, William Blackie Gray. Yes, and that's going to be brought to us by Mute Button. And then you're wondering, are we going to get any of the Brinsden stuff about Roy Race or Surty? There's a collector's corner, but I'm sure you know from many a collector's corner, it'll be bygones moment to shine. So the rummager will be in full force at that moment. So without a further ado, over to you, Mute Button, for the social media and Melvin's Musings.
Thank you very much, old Tangential One. Excellent stuff. Right, yes, okay, so feedback from the last show, which was the one, obviously Ian took us through David and Goliath, and Bygone did the All Action Monthly from 1987. So, here we go. Adrian Lord, friend of the show.
Hey.
We haven't heard him for
one
a while.
house, one Lord.
Everybody in the House of Lord.
That's a Lord.
He says, I am so far behind on my podcast. so clearly, Adrian probably hasn't listened to us since 121 or something like that. I did say we'll stop for a while. So anyway, maybe we'll stop it now, just so we can stop this show so we can give time to catch up. Brilliant. Good to hear from you, Adrian. Hope you catch up soon. If not, Merry Christmas. Terry Angus, friend of the show. Hi, Terry. Great pod yet again. Off topic from the episode, but I've been reading The Goals of Jimmy Grant, and got me thinking about a subject that might be covered. How many characters in football comics are orphans?
Yeah, what's a good,
Jimmy, Nipper, Billy Dane, Rick Stewart.
He wasn't an orphan.
Did his mum die?
No, his mum didn't die.
No, it's his father.
But his dad died. His dad died.
But he's not. It was already a.
Well, you've got one parent, isn't it? I think if you've got one parent,
I thought
you're an orphan, don't you?
I thought it was both for a European.
Is it both?
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's both.
Good point.
Yeah.
But that's what
Well,
we're
still.
here for, to debate these
Yeah,
topics.
yeah, exactly.
This is what we've been wanting for years.
The listeners are at home and they need to know, was Rick Stewart an orphan or not?
And
Forget what football teams he
Hamish,
played
Hamish
for.
would be an orphan because you never see his mum.
Well, yeah, but Ian's right. It's if you've lost
Yeah,
both
it's
parents.
right.
It definitely is
Yeah, I
both
thought
parents.
so.
Yeah. Half an
But
orphan.
Full
Half
set.
an orphan.
there are certainly ones to go over that you've already mentioned, though.
These are the deep, challenging questions we need, Terry. Thank you very
Mm.
much.
Yeah. It's already started debate. Nice one,
Yeah.
Terry.
Right. Moving on to the Melster himself,
Hey.
superstar that is Trevor Melvin. And the headline is: the tangential one's lycra leotard sparks fiery row as Golden Ian gives Tidyman of the match performance.
Tidyman.
Tidyman. Before kickoff,
Brilliant.
the Podfather paid his heartfelt respects to legendary editor Barry Tomlinson, who sadly passed away recently. Sparks flew behind the scenes as the tangential one's lycra workout leotard was deemed a fire risk, preventing the pod staff from conducting his popular "We Are United" commentary workout session. Yeah, it's probably no coincidence that since that episode you haven't done one, have you?
No.
How are the wounds healing?
Well, yeah, and we are waiting for the official sign off that we can redo. The health and safety officer will be back to Champ Towers soon.
Anyway, I won't go there. It can be revealed that fire safety consultants were concerned about the level of friction generated around the inner thigh region of the garment and warned Champ Towers could go up in smoke if the synthetic elastic fibre was not made sufficiently flame retardant. Needless to say, Tangent has vowed to return fully clad, Mr. Motivator style, headband and all, for his next aerobic cardio commentary.
I do now remember I did say, I said I'm not going to put the lycra on, but I did say I'd wear a headband.
Yeah,
Watch this space, YouTube viewers.
Viewers will know if
pod
it's
listeners.
Yeah.
I was going to say, pod listeners, be thankful that you don't watch it on YouTube.
It's also interesting. I looked at the YouTube figures and I have dropped considerably since
the threat of me in lycra and a headband. The listeners have gone back up and the viewers have gone down.
It's just that one weirdo when we know who you are. Right. Despite the fire safety concerns surrounding Tangential's fitness apparel, the latest fixture was still an all-action David and Goliath affair, which had the fans feeling the burn by the end of normal time.
Yeah.
While Bygone Berrigan had us performing pelvic tilts, what I say, as he pushed through issue number 5 of All Action Monthly, Golden Ian really emptied the tank and crushed it, what I say, with his Football Picture Story Monthly Masterclass. Mild-mannered Bygone Berrigan by day, Mr. Pedantic by night, or whenever hair-splitting strikes, once again proved himself to be a vocal comedian par excellence. Yeah, because he brought out some of the old accents again, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't like to mention that, but you know.
Bringing to life a colourful array of characters in the story entitled "He'll Never Make a Footballer." The pod's football comic book bad boy took on the persona of central character Harry Plummer 1 minute and a vagrant offering sandwiches the next. Have a sandwich. Got to have a sandwich.
Every sandwich. It's class. I forgot about that.
Ever since then, I've walked past every vagrant and tramp I can find, just hoping I'm going to get a sandwich.
I don't know how to do this shoulder. Every sandwich.
I'll tell you what, Bygone, if someone soon is going to watch you and you are going to get a part in EastEnders, I don't know how long you're going to last on it, but you are going to get a part.
Yeah,
as long as the Reg Cox character, I think. Anyway, the only time the fans were left wanting during this feature was when a technical issue robbed the Podfather of an opportunity to score either a Cyril Fletcher or Ronnie Corbett impersonation. Remember that?
Yes.
I mean, Joel, in 130 episodes, 95% of the time he's doing Ronnie Corbett impressions when you don't want him to. Then,
exactly.
the one time you do.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think that he's still off sick. He actually was overwhelmed from missing his opportunity. I know.
Yes.
I did mention. I think he brought him out in a fever. I think he's still recovering.
Oh dear. Prompted by Roy's action replay title illustration, Mute Button Matt and Bygone Berrigan combined superbly to play the man of 1,000 voices, most of them dead, in On Goal. However, I digress. If you thought Bygone's acting chops were impressive, the Welsh Time Lord's thespian display, I say, was to die for Mon.
Oh,
The
ka-ching.
card, the Cardiffian, the Golden Tonsils, gave a virtuoso performance C, with shades of Walter Pigeon in the Oscar-winning movie How Green Was My Valley, which even inspired. She says, "I'm Mr. Boombastic." She called me romantic. I'm Mr. Pedantic, to treat Mrs. Bygone Berrigan to a birthday fish and chip supper and run her a hot bath into the bargain.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Were it good, lad? I hope it were good.
During a much-needed water break, the Podfathers team talk took a serious turn as he and the squad discussed the challenges that the high street chain T.G. Jones, formerly W.F. Smith, were experiencing and what the situation might spell for magazines, bookazines, annuals, and comics that are still on the market. Then, as the full-time whistle approached, Mute Button Matt exclusively revealed that he was currently in negotiations with celebrated football comic book artist Bob Bond, not to be confused with Bob Lord, the former chairman of Burnley Football Club. I mean, who would do that?
I
Oh.
just, yeah,
Or even Michael Bond, the
Michael Bond,
Paddington.
yeah, Paddington, yeah,
Yes.
or even James Bond. There was
Oh, of
many
course.
Bonds.
So
Basil
many-
and
yeah,
Bond.
yeah,
Well, in
that's
all
fair,
fairness,
yeah.
James Bond is a comic character because he did actually play in the same youth team as Rick Stewart. No
Oh,
cancer.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Good old Brooke.
To be a guest.
Let's not start this again on T.
Oh, dear.
But anyway, he finishes with monster effort, lads. But late news, it's being rumoured that after his recent visit to Cadbury World, Bygone Berrigan is in talks to launch the Mr. Pedantic chocolate bar that will provide the great taste of the 70s and 80s.
Taste it now.
Any chocolate biscuits being consumed,
No.
or is it just
No.
celery? Are you still
Is
on
it
the
a banana?
Banana.
Have a banana.
Chocolate coated banana.
Since doing this podcast, I put about a stone on, so I keep fruit.
You're supposed to be collecting the comics, not eating them. What are you doing?
It's free gifts.
Yeah. And finally, on YouTube, we have a word from our great friend Nikos. It says, "Up the Champers."
Hey.
Thanks, Nikos. And that's it. That's the social media feedback. Back to you,
Brilliant.
Oh,
tangential
well,
one.
Great stuff. And as we always say, fantastic to hear from all of you. And Adrian, let's hope you've got within
Catch up.
5 episodes of where we are currently, because I'm not sure it's going to make a lot of sense if you're not. But anyway, it is that moment. I know you all enjoy this. And the time traveler, he's back in the TARDIS and he's taking us back to the 1986-87 season. Over to you, time traveler.
Thank you very much. Yes, I certainly am. 86 to 87 season, which should already be up on screen for those who are watching on YouTube. And I just wait for this horrible little bar at the top of my screen to go, but it hardly ever does. So I'm sure I can work through it. But yes. It is season 11, 1986 to 87. The price guide for this issues 510 to 541, 26p, issues 542 to 561, 28p. So for the second year in a row, the comic has a new logo.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after many complaints, the paper was back to its original fairly good quality matte finish, although it was slightly wider than A4 and it was slightly smaller than A4, but it did get a bit bigger in the A4 height size eventually. But the whole comic received a makeover once again, but the big change was the reduction in stories and all new articles. The number of strips went down to 6, with 4 being kept on from the previous year and 2 brand new tales. The Roy of the Rovers title strip not only had a major story revamp, but for the first time in the weekly comic, it had a new artist, as Mike White replaced David Skew. But David Skew, it was great that he was actually kept on, because one of the best additions in this revamp was Story of a Star, something that lasted a few years, and it was partly drawn by David Skew himself, as I said. Ian Rush was the first to be featured. In the comic strip itself, in Roy of the Rovers, a new Rovers kit was launched, sponsored by Nike. And here we go. This is the kit with the model on there. There we
Done
go.
by the time traveler
Yeah,
himself,
thank
for
you very
those of you
much.
that get a chance to
Merchant,
watch on YouTube.
yeah, merchandise was available for fans. That included dressing gowns and stuff like that. And they also did publicity. These real life footballers, apparently, called Ian Rush, Charlie Nicholas, and Mo Johnston, modelled them in London, Glasgow, Liverpool, London, and Glasgow, respectively.
Yeah,
There
nice
we go.
photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to move on to the next slide. There we go. So one major addition. So let me get my worms straight. One major addition to each story was that the comic printed the ages of the title characters. Always a bit dangerous, I feel, but there we go. Some of them could be taken with a pinch of salt, especially Roy's 29 years old. It did have an exclamation mark
Yeah,
after
it
it,
is,
by
yeah.
the way. So yeah, Rick Stewart was at last eventually seen to be turning 17. Billy Dane was 12, and he turned 13 by March. Kevin Clark was 16. You'll learn who Kevin Clark is soon, viewers and listeners. However, Hotshot Hamish was said to be 22 and Mouse said to be 20, and both of them certainly incorrect by about 6 or 7 years. I can see what they were doing, though. They were trying to make it. Yeah, if it goes another 10
Future-proof.
years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But
Give
I
us
would
some
put them
slack.
about 26 and 28 respectively, even though Mouse was still failing at his student life. All the features were either new or revamped. There was Roy's predictor score, Roy's fan mail was the new talk-in, goal was the new quiz. Go for it gave the reader a chance to solve an on-field football-related problem. There was also the welcome return of You Are the Ref, which I think had featured in other magazines in the past.
Yes.
Yeah. And starting in issue 543 was a new series called the Melchester Files, focusing on a different Rovers player each week. And I'm going to go through them in a future pod, I think, individually.
Oh, great.
Okay, so sadly, issue 511 was quite historic. It was the first ever issue of the Roy of the Rovers comic not to mention Johnny Dexter, although he was briefly seen in a frame of the strip. Issue 515, dated 27th of September 1986, was celebrated as the 10th anniversary issue, with a page of congratulations from famous footballers of the day, plus a half-page note from Roy. So there we go. And now, of course, as per usual, I'm going to go from my favourite strips in this year from first to worst.
Controversial last time, I seem to remember. So where are we now?
Where are we now? Now, I won't call it first to worst because I think all of these, by the way, there's only 8 stories and they were all brilliant. So it's just a case of...
He's nailed to the mast straight away there. He's got it on record.
Definitely. So first one is the Bobby Clemens story. That was my favorite story of this volume, even though it only lasted half a season. I think it was 28 episodes. So it's all about Bobby Clemens, a 13-year-old lad from Yorkshire mining town, village of Blackton. Raised on dole money and chip butties, he hoped to play for Leeds United or Sheffield Wednesday one day. So there we go. We're putting it in the real world at least. We're introduced to his mum, 36-year-old Madge, who looks about 63 in the artwork. I'm thinking Nat Godson's wife here. It was tough in Yorkshire, and his dad, 38-year-old George, a miner by trade and out of work for 28 months. So when his cousin offers him a gold mining job in Johannesburg, he feels he has to take it. I'm going to go back to my normal accent now. The only way the family could feel they could stay in England is if Bobby could be taken on as a schoolboy player for a pro club. And despite doing well for his local side in a local cup final, he's considered to be too small and told to try again in 2 or 3 years. So sadly, for him, they have to emigrate for the money. Less than 2 hours after arriving in South Africa, Bobby gets involved in football, and it's interesting to note that all the locals he plays the game with in this are black. Pretty accurate for the 1980s. Football was primarily the game from the indigenous population at the time, but it was played in schools, though. Rugby union, the winter sport of choice for the European immigrants and descendants, and it wasn't until the 2000s that any black players were regularly in international rugby union for South Africa. Schools in South Africa were a part of apartheid at the time, meaning Bobby starts at an all-white establishment, and he soon makes an enemy of Kirk Strydom, the football team captain, after accidentally tripping him up. Strydom and his friend Mulder, be great if they called him Scully, wouldn't it? But gets his revenge, but they get their revenge by organizing a beating up of Bobby and then riles him to be sent off in his first and basically his only match for the school because he's told never to return to the school team again for his hooliganism. So Bobby's now free to play for his friend's newly formed side, the people that he met after 2 hours in South Africa, and not the college. They lose 9-0 in their first game, so Bobby decides to help his friends to build a team. Goalkeeper Ranjit Singh knows of a couple of good players, but they live out on a game reserve. However, Stridham and Mulder are determined to make Bobby have another accident, so they follow him and set a wild buffalo on Bobby and Ranjit. Yep, this is turning into Tommy's Troubles in South Africa here. A different cast and a different setting. All the team need to do now is find a ground and lose it again. And we're there. Sadly, though, Strip doesn't have enough time to do that. Ranjit's family make the team's kit from scratch. They're an Indian family. They're in the that kind of trade. It looks fantastic. Bobby names the side Gold Star United because his father's a gold miner, and they join the Transvaal Youth League. They take on in their first game Swazi Warriors, who are featuring Kirk Stridham's brother Don. Bobby scores Gold Star's first ever goal, but at halftime he receives a message to say his dad's been involved in a mining accident. Excuse me, guys. It means that whilst his father receives treatment in a special hospital all the way down in Cape Town, and I know that's a few hours flight from Joburg, Bobby will have to board at Kruger College along with Waller and Stridham and Mulder. So during the match against Swazi Warriors, though, they were defeated heavily, but Bobby makes friends with Don Stridham, who decides to transfer to Gold Star United. And as the first multinational side in the league, with players from Portugal and China joining Bobby, Ranjit, Don, and other Africans and Afrikaners, they win their first home league match 3-0. And then they beat Kruger College 2-1 in the cup. And there's a bit on screen here, which I haven't really described in the story, that Bobby has a bit of a welcoming committee to the school, which was quite fun. He has a challenge from these masked people. We obviously know who two of them are. And Don helps him with that one. But anyway, after they beat Kruger College 2-1, it's a bit of a rushed ending, and that is sadly is where it ends. It was a brilliant story up until then. It's a magnificent strip. It deserved at least another half season, maybe more. For me, it would have been good to see more of Bobby's time in school, maybe a return for his parents, more of the Transvaal Youth League. There was so much they could do. The political element was touched on briefly, but other potential storylines could have had a racism aspect, with some sides not accepting Gold Star's multinational lineup, for example. But with just six comic strips in Roy of the Rovers now, the editors probably wanted a new story to launch the 87 to 88 season, so one had to be cut. And I just hope that the replacement is a good one.
I've got to say, I mean, I love this feature, and it really does bring back home how we all actually, although we love the comics and everything, we really do have differing opinions of the stories. Because I'm going to shock you now, Ian, because this was one that pretty much I didn't read after the first couple of episodes.
Okay.
So,
fair enough.
So it's really interesting for me to see you've got it there at number one. But that's great.
Yeah,
it just
definitely
shows the difference for how we all read these things, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for number two, I'm doing another newer one for the season, which is City. And I think that's a favorite with a lot of people because of its crossover with Manchester Rovers at one point. But it's all about a lad called Mike Williams. He's a 17-year-old postman. He lives with his parents and he's a youth team player for second division side Bradport City. However, he's told by management he's not good enough to make the grade, so he's sent on loan to Carlton City, a Vauxhall Opal Premier League side, which is the Isthmian League. I don't know what it's called these days, but it's the league.
It's been through many sponsors. It was the Ryman Premier a few
Ryman
years ago.
Premier, yeah, exactly. It's that one. It's a few miles away from Bradport City, which actually creates a bit of a question for some people because people have sometimes thought Bradport is up north, but it's obviously not. It's down south somewhere. And I've placed it on kind of like on the coast. I've placed Bradport as Norwich, by the way, but there we go. So he arrives at training. We're introduced to the players and their professions outside the game. Yeah, this is tier 6 football, grassroots stuff where a gate of 500 is quoted to be a good one. Unlike Durrell's Palace, this is realistic. Mike's first match is a disaster. He doesn't play well. He scores an own goal. He gets one at the correct end, though, but City lose 2-1. Not a great start for him. He's struggling with dressing room banter too. And his other problem is his mum defending him too often and often shouting at the manager from the sidelines. Against local rivals Carlton Town. Now that bugged me because surely you're either a city or a town. So maybe there's something historical about that, but there we go. But against local rivals Carlton Town, Mike helps Carlton City to a draw, and the manager asks him to stay on for another season, which Mike accepts. He was contemplating a return to Bradport, but it turns out that the big club aren't ready to take him back yet. So Mike now needs a job as the Vauxhall Opal League isn't full-time. And as it happens, City needs a new groundsman, so it fits in quite nicely. However, the manager has a choice to make after being offered a role at third division side Roy Rovers. He's accepted, and that means trouble for Mike, as when riding his motorcycle, he nearly runs over the new boss, Ted Baker. He's a bit of a tyrant, and I saw him as a bit of a cockney, perhaps with a similar accent to Glenn Murphy in his portrayal of Alan Rothman at Dream Team. Like, oi, Fletch, get over here. That kind of accent. It doesn't help that Mike continues to get into scrapes, like breaking the office window with a cricket ball or a football falling on Ted from a tree. City signed new goalkeeper Mark White, who is a joker come troublemaker. And this is really confusing now. We've got a Mike and a Mark, but there we go. On tour to Mallorca, Mike is assigned to look after Mark, which continues to get Mike into trouble as he's covering for Mark's pranks. I hope you're following this, people. It looks like it's going to be fun and games in the new season. So great story, well written, artwork from Yvonne Hutton, I think it is, first class as usual. Great to have a non-league side back again, and one that always isn't in financial trouble. As an addition to this story, it was a nice touch for the Roy of the Rovers comic to link up with the Vauxhall Opal League itself. From issues 540 to 549, there was a weekly voucher giving a child aged 14 and under free admission to any match in the league's matches.
Oh, wow.
Reminding children to please tell a parent or guardian you plan to go to a match. So, of course, no phones, no trackers or anything like that in those days. You have to see what you pay.
Do you know something? I think Bygon has brought this up. Sorry to interrupt you. Bygon's brought this up previously. I would actually love to know if any of our listeners or YouTube viewers, anybody out there ever cut the voucher out and actually took advantage of this.
It would have been good, and I'd have loved it if they'd have done it for all the leagues at that level. So I could have gone to Merthyr Tydfil or something like that. But no, it was just the Isthmian League.
My problem is that I never wanted to deface the comic. I never would have wanted to have cut anything out of it.
What if a photocopy would have done? Would they have accepted that? But there we go. I'm sure they wouldn't get,
Can you just use a QR code, I suppose, can you? Really?
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, next for me is Kevin's Chance. Which is actually the story that came before City. 16-year-old Kevin Clark has just left school and trialling for First Division club Carford City. However, he wasn't good enough to be taken on, so was given an opportunity at one of the city's other clubs, 4th Division Selbridge United, who are said to have been in the shadows of Carford for years. My placement, by the way, on the map is I'm placing Carford as Birmingham and Selbridge as Walsall. So that's my headcanon, really, on that one. He's taken on via the YTS scheme, a popular option for kids in the 1980s, and started to learn the ropes at Selbridge. It doesn't take long before Kevin makes the reserves, and despite his goal giving Selbridge the lead in his first match away at Gatesfield, he's found out to be a 1-foot wonder, not being able to use his left. He also has issues with a teammate, Nick Gosling, who's jealous of Kevin's skills. A jealous teammate in a football strip? Wow.
Never.
Yeah. And Nick deliberately injures Kevin's knee. Kevin hides this from management and he's selected for the reserves again, but plays carrying the injury. Kevin wings it, he scores a goal, and he's invited to travel with the first team for the next match. But that's quickly cancelled after Gosling trips Kevin up in college, causing Kevin to damage a display and gets him into trouble, and it's all reported back to the club. Kevin's demoted to the youth side as a result. He has an awful first half in that next game, and he receives a lecture from the boss's daughter, Michelle Dance, who's taken a shine to Kevin. Inspired, Kevin scores 7 goals in the second half. And it also looks like he scores again that evening.
Who I say?
Yeah.
Dance.
But little does Kevin know his youth team match was watched by a Melchester Rovers scout, who watches him again in the reserves match. Kevin plays well, he's signed by Rovers, and it all ends after 23 issues. For me, really good story, but it would have been nice to have seen Kevin make the first team and lead Selbridge to promotion. Maybe just do that for one season. Similar in style to The Apprentices for a few years back, I think. Kevin's charts was a glorified prequel, let's put it that way, but it shows a realistic insight into the life of an apprentice YTS scheme footballer of the 1980s, and that is why I really loved it.
It's a shame what
Say
happens to Kevin, isn't it, in the
Well,
future?
I was just going to say, I mean, I thought it was a great story, and that's a brilliant cover that you've picked out there
Thank
Yeah.
you.
of Kevin in the Rover strip coming on for his debut. And I was going to mention, obviously, yes, it's quite surrounded, and there's something I need to research actually, because the story for me is a little bit there's different accounts of what happens to Kevin, but none of them are good. Let's
Yes.
put it
No,
that way.
I know. One, I'm sure one said His Majesty's pleasure or Her Majesty's pleasure, that
Yeah, he
kind of
did.
thing.
I think he made a
Yeah.
comeback though, didn't he? Become a coach or something, or they have a
Yeah.
scout or something.
Yeah, there was something in, I think it might have been
For
the
sure.
monthlies. I can't
Mm.
remember that you might have seen him.
And who's on the touchline there, substituting him, bringing him on?
I'm not
Don't know.
sure.
No, don't recognise.
You think
No.
it'd be Mervyn, wouldn't you? But,
Yeah, it looks almost like Lofty Peak or someone like that, doesn't
mm,
it? It could be, but
Looks like somebody on Strictly Come Dancing who's just
very,
not impressed
yeah.
and very impressed by it.
He's
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly.
He's enjoying doing his star motion there.
yeah. Yeah, well, in the chapter of my book, I have this actually done before Roy of the Rovers. By the way, this chapter is called "The Race for a Million," and there's a
Ooh,
reason for that.
yes,
Oh, yes,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
The
yes,
next
yes.
the next on my list is the title story, Roy of the Rovers. It is a much better season for the main strip, with no discredit at all to David Skew. The new artist is working wonders, as somehow the new signings look like they fit in better with Mike White. I remember seeing them in that last issue of the season with David Skew's artwork, and I think Mike White, they can't, for some reason, because it just seemed like a grittier storyline. But there we go. It's perfect. The artwork was good, but the changing of the color of some of the strips annoyed me. Kelburn, we know Kelburn playing Coventry City Cyan. All long-term Rovers fans know that, but this season they wear a green and yellow hoop combination at home. Carford City had blue, not black shorts. There's worse for Carford in the future, but there we go.
Yeah.
But worst of all was having Blackport play in blue. Come on, Mike, the clue's in the name here. A new side had been rebuilt following the Basran disaster. Survivors Andy Styles, Duncan Mackay, Rob Richards, Roy Race, and Blackie Gray were joined by new signings Ollie Olsen, Bruno Johnson, Johnny Dexter, whilst Steve Nobby Wooten, Pack Soon, and Mark Cracker Gray were brought in from the reserves. Now, Cracker, you notice the name Gray. He is the 18-year-old son of Blackie. He's named for the first time. But for people who have long memories, we saw him very briefly in 1981 when Roy stayed at Blackie's house when he was having marriage issues. We did see him just the once.
Yeah.
Melchester win their first game against Deeds Park 5-0, but this success doesn't last. Their second match is at Melborough, and their manager Andy Jackson said Rovers would receive a warm reception, and they did just that. They lost 2-1. So to help with the strain, Roy makes Blackie Gray's assistant manager. Only took you 10 years, Roy. Perhaps this should have happened, though, when you returned from Walford. The main storyline is based on something that happened on the way home from the match before Christmas. Roy narrowly avoids hitting a boy with his car. This boy is a son of a multi-millionaire, Simon Gardner, who's very grateful to Roy for not killing his son. So he donates money to the club to build a family enclosure and also give $1 million to charity if Rovers win the Littlewoods Cup. So the other main story involves hooligan problems, normally caused by opposing fans. I think it might have been Gatesfield again.
Yeah, the Gatesfield Goons.
Gatesfield Goons,
Yeah.
that's right. So Roy introduces a membership scheme only accepting away fans who are members of other clubs' membership schemes. So it's not quite a ban for everyone. You have to be a club member. Blackport, though, don't have that scheme. They don't think it's fair. So in the first leg of the two-legged semi-final at their ground, they decide to ban Rovers fans from their ground. Rovers still win, though. But Rovers are still short of players, and the player drain is preventing Pack Soon and Nobby Woodson being released for the England under-21 duty, which I think is really another really awful thing of Roy. I think that they build up these things, don't they?
You're just tempting Bygone to come in.
Exactly.
I am. I'm looking at Bygone here now.
Feeding the Bygone Brinsden nickname.
I'm letting you make your own decisions. Ian.
As we saw a couple of frames ago for those watching on YouTube, Kevin Clark makes his Rovers debut as a substitute in the semi-final second leg win, whilst Rovers signs former Port Dean and Scotland defender Bruce Pancho Miller. The nicknames are ranging up here.
Yeah.
They are.
Signs him from an Italian club, despite Roy being against the idea. So it's all done by the directors because Pancho has a troublemaker reception, or he's also been known to be a control freak.
It's really, I mean, I find it quite annoying, really, having nicknames. What's wrong with people's real names? Wouldn't you say so? Tangent, time traveler, and bygone.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more, Mute, to be quite honest.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, carry on, Ian.
No worries.
No, sorry, it wasn't an 80s thing, though, was it? Not all players had a nickname. I'm trying to think.
No.
Ian Rush didn't have a nickname, and Gary Lineker. I know
No.
Mark Hughes did, Sparky, but that was just like a thing. It wasn't. I can't remember anybody being known in the newspaper as a nickname.
No, I don't think they were. I mean, the first time
Listeners, correct me.
I remember hearing it featured in Mike Bassett, England manager. There was only the one guy who didn't have a nickname, and in the end, he was called Skipper because he was made captain. I seem to remember that one. So anyway, after Pancho Miller scores his first goal for Manchester Rovers after just 30 seconds of his debut, Kevin Clark makes it 2-0, and he does his copter wave, which used to be an aeroplane wave back at Selbridge. I remember that change annoyed me when I was a youngster. On to the Littlewoods Cup final. It's against Stainbridge City, who are making their first Wembley appearance. Rovers are back at full strength, which is the side who started the season against Deans Park. So Kevin doesn't make the squad. Pancho's on the bench. But Andy Styles is injured. So Roy puts himself in goal. But he does an about turn at half time and gives Pancho the keeper's shirt just to get him out the way, basically. The switch works wonders as Manchester Rovers win 2-1 to retain the League Cup and earn the $1 million for charity. But the season isn't over yet. Excuse me. Roy is selected for the England squad once again against Turkey. It's played at the same time as Rovers take on Timecaster, and I think there were no international windows in those days. But he ends the match injured. So that's the end of the season that we see in this. But if you want to know more, look up the archives of the Today newspaper. Do Manchester Rovers officially win the league this season? Or is that just a tangent? But there we go.
Well, yeah, I must admit, that's one for another day because I believe you're going to be doing that at some point.
I will at some point,
we'll leave it for that, yeah. I mean, just interestingly, and I was trying to find it out as well because I remember something that got me going as well. I don't know if it's covered in the summer when Pancho Miller actually leaves Melchester. I believe he goes to, initially it says that he goes to a club called Carlton Town or Carlton City.
Yeah,
and
Carlton
then
Town,
later on he's at a different named team. But
yeah, that's right. That's right.
They play don't they play in a pre-season tournament?
Yes,
they do. Yeah.
But then it's got a different club name to the one that they said that he went to.
That's right. Whether he moved again, I don't know.
How do you pronounce that? I always used to think it was Stanbridge. Am I wrong on that one now?
I'd say Stainbridge because I think it's Cambridge. So that's just
I'd say Stanbridge.
I would have said Stanbridge. I have to admit.
Oh, there we go. A difference of opinion here, as they used to say. A certain quiz show.
Yeah.
Okay, so the summer was a strange one. Hoping that he'd make a full recovery, he made a full recovery from his injuries. Roy makes a one-man goodwill tour at Europe at the request of the unseen Prime Minister in an attempt to mend the poor reputation that Europeans have with England. He guests for team in the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Belgium, scoring sponsored goals in each game, proving he's ready for another season at least.
Can I just say personally, when I was reading this, I very lost interest in that story during that summer, to be honest.
I know what you mean. I mean, I read them all, but I get what you're saying on that one because it was just full of strange teams with strange kits.
Yeah.
Roy playing in them. And I think we had a bit where the Rovers fans followed him and he thought, oh no, I'm trying to get away with these hooligans and that kind of thing. And you're hoping they weren't going to cause trouble. We'll with you all the way, Roy, and whatever they pronounce.
I think it was just a way of, I think the Roy of the Rovers, they always struggled with what to do at summer, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
But just a way of trying to find something football.
And
but I do agree with you guys.
And
also the one thing that I always felt personally, because I mean I was going to football at this time, and it's not to say that hooliganism had gone, but it was really on the downward spiral for me at this point.
You've said that before. You were going to different games than me. Probably me and Ian. We going Cardiff.
Yeah, I remember it a number of years later between our sides, Matt. First game of the season, lovely summer's day in August. Who do we get? Millwall at home. Fantastic. Yes. And
Family club of the year.
that created the infamous chant, Millwall run from Cardiff. Uh, I think we'll go on. Okay,
Yeah,
so
carry
next is Hot Shot Hamish and Mighty Mouse, sponsored by Pan's Playthings. Once again, there's little to complain about with these adventures of Hamish and Mouse, as the writers try to think of more absurd scrapes to get them into and more humorous names for new players and foreign opposition that got more insane as the season went on. American trainer Elmore Tweaker has arrived at Prince's Park, giving the side extra training and claiming that the hot shot isn't scientific. Tweaker's alternative methods of training did win the players over, and he brings in Rambo Rice, king of the long throw-ins when they're on target. In one game, I loved a panel where a Rockton Rovers player was holding the back of Mouse's shirt, ripped it off from the rest of the shirt, and said to ref, "I never touched this shirt. What are you talking about?" And the ref said, "Dear me, we can't have this, can we? Free kick for Princes." Absolutely loved it. When Mouse realizes how popular he and Hamish have become, he launches Mouse Enterprises with a personalized range of t-shirts, mugs, hankies, models, and even hot dogs.
Hankies.
However, Mouse hasn't hired anyone to sell the gear, so he leaves it all out in the street with a note to fans saying, "Put the money in the bag, we trust you." Okay, this is Scotland, and it's probably the equivalent to Glasgow. So the money bag is full, but full of buttons, bus tickets, and rotten old toffees. The duo find out it's Tweaker who's pinched all the souvenirs, not the fans, and he's exporting everything to Japan. He tries to sell Hamish and Mouse to an Italian club when they try to expose him as a thief, but they scare Tweaker back to the USA by pretending the lifelike models have come to life, and the transfer is off. Princes then, they go on to a bad run. They fail to score in 3 games. Mouse is put on the bench, and Ian McBetter is selected to start in the next European Cup Winners' Cup second leg match against Romanian side Plotzi.
Yeah.
However, Ian McBetter turns out not to be better. He's rubbish.
Rubbish.
Yeah. So Mouse comes on and immediately scores. And by the time the next round comes along, Mouse has started up a campaign to help children get off the street and play football. I love this story. He called it Pitches for Titches. They collect money. They collect money at half time, much to the annoyance of Mr. McWhacker for some reason, but they do go on to win. Hamish and Mouse also organise and they win a 2 versus 2 football versus polo match against 2 local toffs. The prize is to be a donated pitch if they win the game of polo. They win it, but we don't see anything more of this, which is a shame. I'd love to have seen a bit where Mouse coaching the youngsters, and that would have set things up nicely for the reboot many years later, but they never would have done that anyway. Princes go on to retain the Cup Winners' Cup, the first side to ever do it, the only side to ever do it.
Yeah.
Beating German club Muncher Legs Off at the vast Blasterdam Stadium in Holland.
I love these.
Yeah, just in case people didn't hear that, the club was German side Muncher Legs Off. And that earned Hamish and Mouse the Scottish Footballer of the Year award after they tied for first place. By now, though, the Pt5 sponsorship has gone, and it left a Tipex stripe in the middle of the shirt in some panels, which didn't look that great. With the football season over, Mouse's boss, Dr. Wally, recruits him for a golf tournament, saying that if he doesn't win, he'll get the sack. He did win it, and Mouse also took Hamish to visit his old school, St. Twitter's College, to play for the old boys versus the masters. Mouse misses a potential match-winning penalty against his old teacher, who looks like he's ready to pick up a pension. And they return to Princes to start the new season, which is an early start in Scotland. So in the second game of the season, which we're still seeing in this season's worth of issues, he's forced to work on Saturday by matron horrible Hilda. So he hires an actor to take his place at the hospital. But when a patient needs to go to the theatre, the actor takes him to the Palladium because it's the best theatre in town. That's the end of this season. You'll find out more about that when we come back.
Oh,
next
just
next
clout. I
season.
do. There's some of the
Brilliant.
names I do
Yeah.
remember. I mean, I'm probably making these up, but I just remember like
Mm.
McTaplem and some of the names were brilliant.
Yeah, there was
I,
something like that.
when you said that, I must admit I'd forgotten that American coach, but I remember that now with the long throw-ins. That was just hilarious.
And the artwork, obviously, is Shafino.
Oh,
Just
yeah, it was
Brilliant.
brilliant. He was brilliant. Yeah.
every time. So next one for me is goalkeeper. Goalkeeper does continue to have issues with its continuity, as Safest Hands did. Its main storyline is now drawn by an unknown artist, and I have researched into this. I asked now the late Barry about it, and he said they had no idea who this particular artist was. It was just done by the same agency as
Right.
Osvaldo Torta, and they just
Right.
sent it through
Yeah.
when Osvaldo had a number of health problems this season. The main story was done by this unknown. Tynefield United return from their summer tour to find out the club has been wound up. A news story quoted an obscure legal cause in ownership means the ground will be developed in a multi-million-pound deal. There's no time for ground sharing arrangements to be made, so all players on United's books will become unemployed. Now, can I go all Catherine Tate Nan on us here now? What a load of old shit. And if
Yeah.
that if such a cause can be accepted without even a short legal fight, then the Football League would not let the club die. I'm sorry about that. An arrangement would have been made at days' notice to ground share. Even Tynefield City might have put them up, as would a Tynecastle, which for me is probably just a few miles up the road. They would have done. Sorry, but it didn't happen. Rubbish storyline. Rick signs for First Division side Oakhampton, which is a 3-hour train ride from his home in Tynefield. But his signing causes jealousy from their first team keeper, England regular Peter Shrimpton. Don't know who's based on for Oakhampton, but there we go.
Nah.
And there's more trouble when Rick's made captain of the youth team without even playing a game. This causes issue with the incumbent captain, Brian Bridger, which isn't surprising. And he's also dating Rick's landlady's daughter, Diana, which are going to cause a few problems. Despite leading Oakhampton to their first win of the year, things are not good at home or work for Rick. Rick discovers that his dad was at Oakfield's youth team before he joined Tynefield. Although this story says he only spent 2 months in Tynefield's reserves, yet Safest Hand says it was a lot longer. He's also having problems with positioning in the goal, and he realizes his dad had the same problem when at the club, when at Oakhampton. So helped by Diana, who's now kicked Brian into touch, by the way, because she's got the hots for Rick, a goalkeeping coach is sourced, and the issue is solved for now. After a 7-issue break in this particular tale, the action fast forwards to Christmas, and Tynefield United are resurrected for a charity match on Boxing Day with Rick playing in goal. However, way back in Oakhampton, Peter Shrimpton isn't happy with his contract. He has a bust up, refuses to play. So Rick makes his first division debut and single-handedly keeps Oakhampton in the game as they win 1-0. But 2 crucial events happen on the same rainy evening. First, Rick saves the life of the little brother of a local firm leader, Smiler Scrubs. Second, Peter Shrimpton organises for some of Scrubs' mates to rough Rick up a bit, enough to keep him out of the next match. All this is found out. Shrimpton's transfer listed, so now Rick has to compete with former Northern Ireland international Brendan Fitzpatrick, holder of 105 caps, for a place in the first team. When Brendan is injured, though, before the cup tie, and Rick plays well. Again, we always have this thing, don't we? Rick Stewart plays brilliantly, and he's still kept in these youth teams. We discussed that in the last pod.
Why would Shrimpton have been jealous of a youth goalkeeper when he's back up
to
Northern Ireland
exactly.
International?
Yeah, and even so, if he's got Brendan Fitzpatrick breathing down his neck, who's probably Pat Jennings type of character, I think. But there we go.
Stories didn't really make sense, did they?
Yeah.
I was going to say the thing here for me that I didn't like about, I was always a fan of goalkeeper, but it was this part of the story that I didn't like. And every time Rick plays or gets a chance in the first team, he plays like Gordon Banks, Pat Jennings, Lev Yashin, you name all the great goalkeepers, and then he's not there. And you just think, well, hold on a second. Any other club would buy him, and that's where for me it just kind of fell down a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we have another 4-issue break, and I'll go into that one in a little bit. And after that, much of what I've just said is forgotten about. Rick's now back in the youth team, and their poor form, touched upon on earlier issues, is being attributed to their manager. But that's soon about to be changed, with newly retired player Billy Baxter taking over. Rick, as usual, is helping with recruitment, but the one player he doesn't want to join was his enemy in school, Brian Ginger Watts, who's determined to make trouble for Rick. We'll find out more about that in the next pod, next time I'm doing this in the pod. So we'll go on to Osvaldo Torta's artwork now, because it has 11 issues this season, a 7-part tale and a 4-part tale. The first one was perhaps meant for the previous season, because it says it but wasn't delivered in time, because it says it took place before Rick joined Oakhampton. A new keeper, son of a rival from Gordon's from way back, signs for Tynefield United. Now his father tries and succeeds, and he actually succeeds to nobble Rick without Nick, the goalkeeper, knowing. But Rick, again, they're confusing us here, Nick and Rick. But Rick gets back in the side, and they shake hands. Nick gets transferred, and they have a game against each other, and all goes well. So the second story from Torta issue appears in issues 546 to 549. After playing another blinder for Oakhampton's first team, Rick is approached by a young lad who wants to be a keeper, but Rick thinks he's better as a striker. So that's the way that one goes. I quite like that one. So next for me, Billy's Boots. Yeah. Deadshot Keen dies age 91, but have the Boots magic died with him? It certainly looks like it, as poor performances for the school prompts Billy to be dropped. So in annoyance, he throws his boots into the river. However, that night, Deadshot appears to him as a ghost or in a dream. We're not sure exactly. And he says that Billy mustn't give up and he's got to keep wearing the boots. So they'll help him if his heart is in the game. So there you go. It's not magic, it's heart. So Billy has to get them back. He rows down the river, finds one in the bushes. But as the rain pours down, it gets dramatic. He's swept in the same way as the second boot. And the impossible happens. He finds the boot.
No.
No sooner as he found the boots, he loses them again, picking up the wrong bag when in a busy shop. He eventually does hunt down the bag, but the person who found them thinks they're rubbish and throws them out. So he has to go in all these dumpsters and bins and that kind of thing to find them. Anyway, he gets his boots back. He goes back in the school side after 4 players were injured in a sledging accident. Billy's accused of stealing the sledge and selling it off. He's cleared, but when the junk shop owner he's cleared as the junk shop owner where the sledge was sold doesn't recognize him. But in the shop, he acquires a pair of second-old boots for free. He accidentally takes these boots to the next match, and he's not great in the first half. So a quick phone call to his gran at halftime. The boots are zoomed over by the local milkman, as you do, and Billy is a star again. And so the actual thief is a teammate of Billy's, Ned Wilson. He's later spotted stealing a car radio, but Billy doesn't report him. So Ned now believes he's in with Billy and he owes him, and he starts defending him against other bullies, but he's got to be keeping in with him together. Groundwood reached the final of the English Schools Cup, beating Carlton School on the way, and I wonder if that's the same Carlton. Billy helps Groundwood to win 3-2 in the final, and as a result, they're invited to face a Dutch school in the Netherlands. As Deadshot Keen only ever played in Britain, Billy isn't sure if the boots will work abroad. So he takes 2 pairs and he plays in the other pair in the first game, and he plays well. And he plays in his usual pair anyway, and he plays well in both. But there's trouble for Billy on the way back in customs. His bag is searched and it's full of undeclared food and drink. It's put there by Ned, thinking Billy wouldn't get stopped. He looks too innocent. Ned admits that Billy's picked up the wrong bag. He pays the duty and all's well for now. Ned continues to make trouble for Billy back at home, and he's now threatening Billy Billy has refused to take Ned on a paid trip back to his new mate's house in the Netherlands. And he's asking for 20 quid menaces, or he'll beat him up when they get back. Next one, and finally for me, still a really good story, Cup Final. It's quite a unique one. It's all about a second division club, Denham City. They're making their first ever appearance in the FA Cup final and taking on the might of Westport United. This story, the saga that lasts 24 issues, I think it's 23 or 24, I'll find out in a minute. It's all about the 12 Denham players and the manager. Week by week, we meet the side integrated with match action. So we learn a bit more about their background all the time. And we start with 26-year-old manager Andy Green, whose career was ended early, so he turned to drink and drugs out of depression. Following an arrest, his probation officer edged him into football coaching. So Andy became the Football League's youngest ever manager, and he's leading his side out in the cup final. So next we learn about 18-year-old Brazilian striker Julio Lebana. He gives Denham the lead in the 15th minute. 2 years ago, he was in a plane crash where the son of Denham City chairman also died. Well, he died, sorry, not also died, but he died. 21-year-old keeper Pat Jardine. We learn about him next. He chose football over music. Bill Davis, 37 years old, he misses out on an England appearance in the 1966 World Cup final, and his career has taken a downturn as a result. Striker Tony Watts nearly gives Denham a 2-0 lead. At just 17 years old, he's sped through the youth system, but an injury in the first half means he's brought off, and he's replaced by the shy Dennis Larks, a 29-year-old whose clearance off the line gives him some confidence. The crowd are going wild, but the one person who can't hear them is 20-year-old fullback Barry Casper, who has been deaf since birth. He's wrongly accused of handball in the final, and the resulting penalty makes it 1-1 at half-time. The second half starts, and 19-year-old striker Charlie Duke is hoping for a goal. Just 2 years earlier, he was on the terraces and shouting abuse at the players. Brian Redson was injury-prone, but the 20-year-old defender is determined to finish the final. We're very briefly introduced to Harry Clark and Ray Robinson, a duo who seem to know what each other is doing on and off the field, and also the smallest player on the field, Nicky Norman. But the rest of the story is all about 28-year-old striker John Smith. He puts Denham 2-1 up. John, we learn, was found unconscious on the side of a motorway just months before this final with a complete loss of memory. We learn that he was a detective and he was part of a botched assassination attempt 18 months earlier. John is noticed on TV during this final, and the villains race to Wembley to finish the job. Westport equalise. Back on the field, Westport equalise. John Smith scores the winner, and in the final part of the story, it shows the villains trying to kill him again, but they're apprehended by the police. The bullet grazes, very Trump style, grazes his head. John regains his memory. The loose ends are tied up, and Denham celebrate. And that's it, guys. That is my review of the year.
That's what I've got to say. I mean, that's, well, as always,
Wow,
fantastic,
superb.
and those memories. But cup final, that last story there, I do remember it was actually unique. I remember when I was reading it, and I think even to this time. And of course, I don't know whether you could, but it always the way it was framed, it was always going to only have a certain shelf life, right? Because
Correct. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that actually cup final. I don't know about the rest of you.
No, I did. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed every story there. The fact that it was number 8 out of 8 doesn't give it the credit it deserves, because I'm rating all the stories out of 10, and that was a 7, same as the last couple of stories. Billy's Boots and Hotshot Hamish was also a 7, and just for that season. So yeah, it was
a season that you'd recommend then.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I do.
Enjoyed.
I do. It was only 6
just
stories each time.
Sorry,
Sorry, Bob.
each story had really good artists, to be honest, as well, didn't they?
Correct.
You know, Cup Final was a great artist as well, and I think when I read it, you understood that it was only going to last a few. It wasn't a long running story, so you could invest in it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I'll try and find the artist now, but
he's drew a lot, hasn't he? I think he's drew goals of Jimmy Grant. He's drew a lot of Football Picture Story monthlies.
Yeah, he has. He has. I'm looking it up now to see if I can find it. But
whilst you're doing that, Ian, I'm just gonna say sorry. I don't know, because I don't know if I'm catching ADHD, or I don't even know if that's the right terminology. But I mentioned the Bruce Pancho Miller thing, and I remember in the season he leaves Melchester Rovers for Dunstan Town, but then in the summer of that season, Rovers go and play, as they often do, a tournament in Spain, and in actual fact, Bruce Pancho Miller is playing for Carlton Town, which is interesting because, again, that the use of Carlton Town, like in City.
Yeah,
it was
I've
interesting.
Got a couple of opinions on this. I took it as though Pancho was a troublemaker, so they got rid of him straight away, and he recently joined that new team in the summer.
Yeah, that could have happened, definitely. And Carlton.
Oh yeah.
Carlton Town meant to be a non-league club, but maybe they had a couple of promotions. I don't know. The artist, by the way, was Barry Coker, or I think that might be how you pronounce it. Bard and Art Barry Coker, who also drew, of course, the Bobby Clemens story, which replaced Cup Final, The Legends, The Partners, Project 917, Racing Rocket, and Running Scared.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think it was actually the artist of Barry Coker. My feeling is that's somebody actually at the agency.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, so
And there
someone
would
at
have
the
been
agency.
Argentinian or
Yeah,
Spanish or
Yeah.
Italian
but
artists.
that
That's how I
agent,
understand it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that agency produced all those stories
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think but it was the same artist as I think as the Bobby Clemens story.
Yeah. The
Um,
other thing with I'm from obviously Salford, Manchester,
yeah.
and I used Manchester's a city, obviously, but I never said where you going. I never said I'm going to city centre. It was always town centre.
Okay.
We go in a town, but it's a city.
That's
Mm.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we
It's a
so
northern
that
thing.
is that's something that I picked up as well in Cardiff because I was brought up 12 miles away from Cardiff in a place called Aberthin near Cowbridge, quite a small place. But when I started college in Cardiff when I was 16, I was hearing people about you going into town. Do you want to come into town on the weekend? And town
Yeah.
was the city centre, so that's what they call it in Cardiff. You're going into town.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right. Well, there you go. I'm not sure if that's too much of an insight into the
Unless
private lives of Bygone and the time traveler.
there's
Come
one
on,
more
Bygone.
point. It'd
Come
be
on.
like if Ipswich became a city, and then would they change it to Ipswich City or remain it as
No,
Ipswich
I
Town?
don't think they would.
Swansea did that. Sorry to swear there, but Swansea changed it from Swansea Town to Swansea City, and a lot of Cardiff fans still call them Swansea Town just for a laugh.
Yeah. Sorry, geography
No
gets in the way.
worries, no worries. Right. Well, I can say, well, fantastic once again, brilliant review of the season 86-87 Time Traveler. I loved
Thank
every
you.
second of that. But wow, there ain't not many bigger characters than this, and I'm sure Bygone probably will find his inner Brinsden moments here as we move on to the part 5 of the comic book life of William Blackie Gray. Over
Excellent.
to you, mute button.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Tangent. Yeah, so where did we leave it? I don't know if you remember, but the last time we heard about this, part 4 was with the summer of '74 when they were in Spain.
Yeah.
So it's picking up here. This is 15th of May. So on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, it's 15th of May, 1976. And Rovers had just lost the FA Cup final. If you remember, they lost the FA Cup final to Oldfield. And they don't win the league either.
Yeah.
But Blackie has a very important role to play, not just as midfielder, because he's Roy's best man. So on the screen you can see the wedding of Roy and Penny, and he had the classic scene of the Rovers players still in their kit as a guard of honor as they come out of the church. Roy kicks the ball into the crowd, and so that's a key moment in Blackie's life in the '70s, and obviously they go. I think the summer, I can't remember. I think they might have gone to Italy. That's something I can't remember. I should remember, but anyway.
Surely Crete. Surely not Italy. Surely Crete.
Well, I think they left Crete out this for once. Then this is what I'm going to focus on the majority of this story. This is in Tiger. So this is on the 25th of September 1976, which is obviously the week of the first ever Roy of the Rovers comic.
Yes.
And this is when obviously the Roy of the Rovers story continued in Tiger.
Hedging their bets.
Drawn by Yvonne Hutton.
Yes, absolutely. So Yvonne was back drawing the story. And so you see on here, you've got Roy there, and he introduces each of these stories, and they were like kind of contained stories. They focused on top players. So I think I've covered the Vernon Elliott one before. There's a Jerry Holloway one. I think there's a Jimmy Slade one. But they're really good. They go for like maybe 6 or 7 weeks, that kind of thing.
Did they participate in the Atlantic Cup as well?
Yeah,
I remember that.
There was one.
Yes, I have read that. I think that was published in a a monthly at one point.
Yeah. Love it. So so this one I'll pick it up. So Roy is kind of telling the story, if you like. But here we go. We've got Blackie Gray, and he's playing well for Rovers, and you've got a panel there, and there's a pass from Mervyn Wallace, and it comes to Blackie, but he dummies it, and Roy's there, and he finishes it, and it's what a fine goal, super shot, boss. So Blackie's playing really well, but then at the end of the training session the next day, Blackie comes over to Roy and he goes, "Roy, have you got a minute?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, pal. What's the trouble?" He goes, "Yeah, I had a dream I keep having a dream. It's a nightmare, I suppose you could call it. And before I go any further, I just want to say, for tangent, this might be quite triggering this story. It does involve the missing of penalties. But anyway,
Oh,
Oh
no.
no.
I know,
No.
I know, I
I
know.
told you I only missed that one for the school team in the quarterfinal. I don't like to
Okay,
talk about it.
okay. So Blackie's been having this nightmare of missing a really significant penalty. He says it's a big match. I'm taking a penalty, but I miss. And everything depends on that penalty. We lose the game because of that miss. So, he's really bothered about this, but Roy's, forget it, don't worry about it. Remember, you're not even a regular penalty taker, you're not even a third choice. There's no chance of that ever happening. He said, okay, fine, okay, but he's got me really worried. So anyway, Roy forgets about it, and as he says, the next they're playing a top continental team in a European competition. Doesn't say what the competition is, and there's no score, but just before we're in extra time, just before the end of the game, suddenly this European team, they score. It's Valentina is the team. That's 1-0 against Rovers. And then quickly, Rovers equalise. Roy scores. It was crossed by Vernon Elliott, and Roy scores with a header. It's 1-1. Of course, that's the end of extra time, so it goes to penalties. But immediately, you see in the bottom panel there, Blackie's there. Roy, don't you see? My dream's coming true. I've got to take a penalty. I'm going to miss it. I know I will. What's going to happen? So we move forward to the next week, and the referee's there. Right, okay. And this is quite interesting. It says that each player will take one penalty. The first man to miss, his team will lose. So it's gone straight to sudden
So
death.
straight sudden death, regardless. Yeah. Right, okay.
It's a bit weird.
Hmm.
Anyway, so the penalty shootout starts. Roy takes the first one, sends the keeper the wrong way. Brilliant. 1-0 to Rovers. Then Valentina score, and it's 2-2. And then it's 3-3, 4-4. You see the bottom panel there, 5-5, 6-6, 7-7. All this time, obviously, Blackie's getting really stressed because he's thinking at some point I'm going to have to take one. And Roy's there, look, calm down, don't worry. You can kick the last one for us after Charlie Carter even. So Charlie Carter goes up, and he scores, and he makes it 11-10 to Rovers. And now, of course, if Valentina score, then Blackie's going to have to take a penalty. So Valentina's Spanish international, kicks the ball, and it's going straight to the top right corner, but Charlie Carter gets across, and he saved it. Oh, so Rovers win, and Blackie there's virtually crushing Charlie Carter because he's so happy that he doesn't need to. He goes, and he's going, take it easy, Blackie. You'll put me on the injury list. And obviously, as we know, Charlie Carter was quite often on the injury list.
Well,
I
mean, really. Especially be careful of that collarbone. That's all I'm going to say.
Especially when Rocky's around. So anyway, afterwards, Rovers general manager Ben Gallery's there. And he's greeted the players. Great show, lads. But I don't like you doing that sort of thing too often. That scoreline may look fancy, but it's too close for comfort. So the members of the team now, they know about Blackie's dream, and Mervin's there saying, are you satisfied now, Blackie? There's no way you're ever going to have to take another penalty for Rovers, is there? You can forget all about it now. Okay, fellas, he says, you win. So they get on the plane and they're flying back. Blackie then falls asleep, but then he wakes up, he's had a nightmare again. He's going, no, I won't take it. I'll miss. Melchester will lose. And Roy's, oh no, he's not over it after all. He's having the same dream again. So poor Blackie, what's going on? So next week, you've got Roy. He's now in his kit and he's still in his office and he's still telling the story. What you notice is that they were making a point to kind of sell the Roy of The Rovers comic as well. So he says, he's talking about it here. He goes, he absolutely insisted he was going to take a penalty from Melchester and we'll miss it. Talk about make our lives a misery. Running my new soccer weekly, Roy of The Rovers, number 3 is on sale this week. Week is far less trouble. Actually, we're introducing this segment, this installment of the story. So anyway, back to the story. Blackie's on the plane, and the rest of the players are getting a bit more agitated about this. And anyway, Roy says, right, okay, don't go to sleep. Have some black coffee. It'll be quieter for us. And he gets off the airplane, and Roy says to Ben Galloway, he says, look, I suggest we ask the club doctor to check him over. Some of the lads are getting a bit uptight about this dream business. And Ben, as he always does with Roy, he agrees. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
So they're training, and then Ben calls over to Blackie, say, "Hey, Blackie, can you spare the doc a few minutes, please?" And Blackie's a bit confused. The doc, what's he want? I've got no injuries. Okay, Ben, if you say so. Anyway, so he goes off, and Blackie twigs that it's the psychiatrist. He goes, "The psychiatrist? I'm only having a dream about missing a penalty, which I'm never likely to take now anyway. I'm not going off my flaming rocker." But as Roy says, I was the only one who could reason with Blackie. "Look, just do it as a favour to me, please. It will only take up an hour of your time." "Well, all right, Roy. Only because it's you. I wouldn't do it for anyone else." He was so trusting, wasn't he, Blackie? So trusting.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, Blackie goes to the psychiatrist. Roy's outside in his car, and he can kind of listen through the open window. And you've got Blackie there, and he's shouting, "Did I have problems when I was a baby? You're a nutcase, chum. You're the one who needs his head examined, not me." No, Mr. Gray. No, don't do it, please." Roy's like, "Oh my God, this isn't going too well." And then you see the psychiatrist, running out of his office with Blackie behind him going, "All I can say to you, Mr. Headshrinker, is rubbish." And he throws a waste paper bin on top of the poor guy's head.
Brilliant.
So that wasn't going too well. So then back at training again, and Blackie's now seated with a lot of the younger players, and Taffy's watching what's going on. And Blackie's still talking about it, saying, "Oh, I'll talk you through it. It's a big match. I take the penalty, but I hit it high and wide." Taffy's like, "Hey, what's going on over there? You're supposed to be training, not talking." So now Taffy's saying to Roy, "It's becoming a bit of a bad influence on the rest of the lads, Roy, especially younger ones. We've got to do something." So Roy goes and talks to Ben again, and he says, "This penalty dream has become a talking point of the club, Ben, and I don't want the press to get hold of it. Blackie's a great player, my best pal, but there's only one answer." "What's that, Roy?" "As player manager of Melchester Rovers, I'm dropping him from the squad for tomorrow's league match."
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Doof, 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 doof.
You love your doof doofs.
Yeah, I do. So anyway, so now it's next week, and Roy again introduces it, and again, look, can you buy both comics? Basically, is what he's saying introductory. But he's talking to Blackie, and he says, "I knew there was only one thing I could do. So at a training session, I'm sorry, Blackie, this dream business is doing everyone a load of no good. You can't shake it off. So I've got to drop you from the team."
Ah, dun dun dun.
I know.
Too late.
Blackie is, "What?" I think he said it like that. And there was a deathly hush. Blackie's lips tightened. Then he whirled and stormed off. And Roy, with a thought bubble, says, "Phew, he didn't like that one bit. For a moment, I thought he was going to take a swing at me." And Roy's talking to Taff. He goes, "Blackie won't be playing on Saturday, Taff. Who do we replace him with? What about Kevin Young?" So then suddenly they're watching the reserves, and they're looking at Kevin Young, and he looks like a really good player.
Yeah.
And they see him score a goal, and they go, "Oh yeah, it looks not bad at all." So Kevin Young is drafted into the team, and you can see the players there around the board, the notice board, when they put the team up, and they're going, "Cool, look at that! Talk about surprise, Kevin, you're in the first team already." "What? You're joking?" he says. And Blackie's looking on. Someone says, "Oh, Blackie Gray's been dropped." And there's Blackie there looking on at a distance, and he's like, "A bit of a kid taking my place? That's the thumping limit." I'm not sure if he meant thumping. It might be. I'm not sure.
I love it.
"And Mr. Roy Rotten Race, he's responsible for it. Well, I've had enough." And then Blackie bursts into his office, and this is angry Blackie. This is like, I can see Bygone's face. He's absolutely loving this. Look at this. He's got extra popcorn, extra chocolate biscuit. Yeah. He's just like, he goes, "I thought you were my friend, Roy Race, but it seems I couldn't have been more wrong. You've made me look a right fool." Now, just a minute. "No, I want a transfer. I'm fed up with you and this miserable club. The sooner I get away from Melchester Rovers, the happier I'll be." He's really
sounding more like Mike Reed every minute.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realise that Blackie Gray had a touch of what was it? Grandad Bygone in it, and a bit of Gangster 30 rolled into one as well.
Telling you, I felt like this when Roy dropped me after I scored that FA Cup goal. But Roy let me go.
It's PTSD. Sorry, Bygone. Sorry, Bygone. Anyway, so he storms off, and Roy saying, I said nothing to anyone, not even to the general manager, Ben Galloway. Saturday's league game against Danport arrived. So he's talking to the players, Roy, in the dressing room, says, okay, lads, brief chat. Danport are currently bottom of the table, holding everyone else up. I'm not being overconfident when I say I want to see you attacking them from the start. I expect at least 3 goals today. We'll help you to help us, Roy. That's Duncan Mackay now, not Mackay. And then Roy having a bit of a chat to Kevin Young as they walk out. Said, oh, look, I know it's all been said before, Kevin, but it's true. Just believe me. Treat this game just like all the others. Right, boss, I'll do my best. But as soon as he steps out on the pitch, you can see the fear in Kevin's eyes. He's going, I'm playing alongside the great Roy Race from Pt5 Rovers. I'm going to spoil everything today. I know I am. Anyway, the game kicks off. Within 60 seconds of the start, Roy passes the ball through to Kevin and he misses it. And the crowd, this is brilliant from the crowd. Yikes, he missed the ball completely. A sitter. Even I could have scored then. Where'd you get in from, Roy? We want Blackie Gray. Within 60 seconds. All of them had turned on Kevin Young.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? I think Kevin Young's just realised this is the one and only time we're going to be featured for Melchester. I am that. What was it called? Summit Lane. And just there was these magnificent players who played one game.
Yeah, the once or two. Well, my favourite was always the amazing FA Cup appearance by Errol Bridger. But anyway, let's not stop muting his tracks.
That's definitely another section for
exactly.
Really do it one day. So next week you've got, and there's newspaper headlines: Blackie Gray up for sale. Pt5 Rovers and the international star to part company. So it's all over the press. So Roy picks up the story, says, so to cut a long story short, I dropped him and picked a promising youngster named Kevin Young in his place, which was a disaster. And Kevin doesn't get better throughout the game. So he misplaces the pass, and the crowd again going, oh, terrible ball. He had all the time in the world to make that pass. He kicked it straight to the defenders. Mm-hmm. And then Roy passes to him again and he's through, but he stumbles over the ball, and the crowd are, bring back Blackie Gray, bring back Neil Berrigan. No one says that. And then all of a sudden, Danport, they get the ball forward and they score. And oh my God, I can't believe this. This bottom team suddenly they win 1-0. It ends with a defeat to Rovers, and the crowd are going, "You were terrible, Melchester." And someone else says, I've said it 10 times already. Bring back Blackie Gray. I think they're trying to get their point across.
Yeah.
Poor Kevin, he's in the dressing room. He's almost inconsolable there. But Roy's doing his best to say, don't worry, Kevin. It happens to us all at some point. Anyway, Roy's thinking, what can he do? He's got to think of something else. So then as Roy says, I've got the most simple idea. It's not a simple idea, but just go with this. TV star Russell Stone was a friend of Roy's, and he's a fanatical Rovers fan. Yeah, and so you've got Roy meeting Russell Stone there, and you can tell he's an actor because I think he's got some sort of fancy cravat on. And says, Russell, you can do me a favour, more particularly the Rovers. So Blackie Gray, as you know, or you must have read, is officially on the transfer list at his own request. If he goes, it'll be a tragedy for Rovers. And Russell says, you don't need to tell me that, Roy. I'm not known as Melchester's #1 fan for nothing. And then there's an explanation. It says, if you've never seen him, I should explain that Russell Stone is a very accomplished actor and a master of makeup and disguise.
Oh.
And then you see 3 faces on the panel. And it says all 3 of these faces belong to Russell. And they all look exactly the same, except one has glasses, one has a moustache, and one has a beard. He's a master of disguise.
I tell you what, though, I mean, it's better than old Clark Kent and Superman. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, it's better than that, to be fair. Yeah. So 2 days later, Blackie gets a letter from the club, and it says that Blackmill are interested in buying him, Blackmill City. And so Blackie's thinking, oh, this is quite interesting. So Blackie falls for it, and then you find him opening the door to somebody who's there, and it's clearly Russell Stone in disguise. And he says, Mr. Gray, nice to meet you. I'm here to talk money on behalf of Blackmill City. Big money. This is where we need Gold to come in and do a Max Bygraves impression.
Exactly.
So yeah, so clearly he's trying to sort something out there with Blackie.
Yeah, he does look like the blackmail director of football. I've just Googled him.
Was he in a plaid jacket as well?
Yeah,
He
he's
yeah, he
got
did,
a
yeah.
remarkable resemblance.
He looks a bit like Roy Kinnear, doesn't he? Like the old actor Roy Kinnear. Anyway, so the story goes on next week, and it's all over the news again. And you've got a newspaper man saying, "Morning, Mr. Race. Pity about Blackie, eh? I hope you won't regret letting him go." But as Roy says, only a few people knew the real truth about Blackie's transfer request. But as manager, I had to take some stick about it. So yeah, so the crowd are getting on Roy's back because they're thinking he's just dropped Blackie and it's his fault and he's put him on the transfer list. So the crowd are having a go at him and they're shouting, "You're a one-man team, Melchester. That's your trouble. If you can't handle your players a bit better, Roy Race, you ought to pack in the managership." It's management anyway. And even Roy, it's affecting his game. So he gets in front of the goal and he hits the ball straight at the keeper and the crowd are going, "Come on, Roy, what's wrong with you?" And then there's a demonstration against Roy as well. And you can see there's a demonstration. Yeah, bring Blackie back and don't let Blackie Gray go. And Ben Galloway's there. He says, "You should see this morning's mail, Roy. Apart from hundreds of protesting letters, there's a great Blackie must stay petition from the fans." So the plan which Roy had was, he's obviously got Russell Stone there to pretend he's at Blackmill City. So we'll flash back to Blackie's lounge, and you've got Russell Stone there. He's going to Blackie. "You won't find us at City ungenerous, Blackie lad, if you get my meaning. Hee. We're a happy club and we reward success, but there's one small snag." "What's that?" says Blackie. "We've heard this nightmare trouble you've been having. Before the transfer deal goes any further, we must insist you consult with Professor Hugo Spitzwitz, the famous astrologer." And so an appointment was duly made. So Blackie's going to go and see this famous astrologer. And so here we go. "Mr. Black, I am most happy to meet you. You have big troubles for me to solve, yes? But I soon sort them out. Look, it's only a dream, and don't get all colorblind. The name's Gray, not Black. And of course, Professor Hugo Spitzwitz is the master of disguise himself, Russell Stone." Nobody, you'd never want to tell.
I wouldn't have recognised him on this one.
I'm sorry to spoiler alert.
Is that the same person?
Unbelievably, yes. Unbelievably.
Did he also play the Dungeon Master in Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoons? He's starting to look a bit like him now.
He does. And anyway, so Hugo's talking. He goes, "Mars is in conjunction with Venus. Your sign is Scorpio, and you were born on a Sunday. Most interesting." "It is. I mean, is it?" "There is no doubt. The stars are quite clear in their message to me, and they are never wrong, my friend. Your dream will never come true, and you must stay at your present club, Melchester Rovers." So clearly this is Roy's plan to get Russell to dress up as this astrologer and just tell him these lines. But there's a problem. He almost made it, and as the caption says, Russell Stone almost made it, but for one small thing, a bandaged thumb. Oh. Yes, and you see a big shot on the panel of a bandaged thumb. Blackie suddenly spots this and he goes, "Good try, Mr. Football Scout, alias Professor Spitzwitz, alias Russell Stone. You forgot you were on TV last night in my favourite programme."
Completely slipped his memory that he was on telly that night.
Exactly. And the police inspector you were playing had the same bandaged thumb. And so did this so-called Blackmill City official, who we didn't even give a name.
Yeah.
They've just decided to call him the Blackmill City official. Things were now worse than ever. And you have Blackie then. He turns away, he storms out, and he goes, "Roy Race is behind all this, which makes me even more determined to get away. Dream or no dream, I'll never play for Melchester Rovers again."
Anyway, dear.
2 more weeks. Nearly there, guys, don't worry. Anyway, the next week, and you still got Roy in the first panel saying, "Have you seen a copy of this yet? It's my new soccer weekly, Roy of the Rovers."
He's even holding up an edition of Roy of the Rovers. I love it.
"I'm appearing in both this one and Tiger and Scorcher." Brilliant. You can't knock Barry, can you?
No.
Or or Ian Vosper. They're definitely
Exactly.
double the sales, double the subscriptions.
And it looks like they dragged Roy in it as well.
Yeah. And here we go. Blackie, here we go. We're back to the story. And there's fans there protesting. We want Blackie. We want Blackie. I was thinking, I knew Blackie was popular, but it looks like his personal fan club are here in force today. Why did you drop him, Roy? He was playing all right. And Roy's just thinking, I'm not in this game just to be popular. What I did was right. It was right for the good of the club. Rovers will play just as well without Blackie. But they couldn't have been more wrong. And the Rovers are really struggling. And yeah, Kevin Young, even though he's 17, he's doing his best. He jumps, but he misses the ball. And Ben Galloway's now watching on, and he's like, we're playing like a clock with a spring missing, lopsided somehow, incomplete. And the bloke next to him, who looks a bit like Russell Stone, I don't know if it was him, says, I'm no great expert. Yeah, he's everywhere. I'm no great expert, Ben, but I can see we're sadly missing Blackie Gray. I mean, brilliant. It's like genius. But then there's a lovely ball by Roy. He's put Vernon Elliott away on the left. And that's it. Rovers, you've roused yourself at last. The crowd are getting excited. But Kevin Young then runs into Roy, and they run into each other, and it's getting even worse. Thankfully, Charlie Carter's at his best, and he manages to save just before the ball goes in. And they get a golden draw, and the crowd is still not happy. They're going, rubbish, and I'm being generous. So they've got to come up with another plan. So Ben, though, he pulls Roy to one side just after they've got change, and he goes, the directors have called an emergency meeting. They want to see you in the boardroom right away. So you've got the directors there. You don't see Sam Barlow, which is interesting.
No, that's what I was just thinking there, actually, yeah.
But anyway, talking to him, and he goes, again, all three of them could be Russell Stone, potentially. And they said, we've discussed this at some length. It's obvious that Blackie Gray is the missing link. Everything's gone south since he was dropped and transfer listed. We don't wish to interfere with team selection, but unless our performances improve and you fail to justify your action, we shall have no alternative but to ask for your resignation as manager of Manchester Rovers.
Oh, wow.
Just shows you how much power Blackie had.
Well, I've got to say, I'm amazed at this point, knowing Roy as I do, that he just didn't slap his resignation down straight away.
Well, yeah, he's known to do that, obviously. Yeah.
Maybe that was in the future when they interfered one too many times.
Do you know who's not thrown a tuppence in? Penny.
That's unusual, isn't it? Maybe she's still looking at the brochures for Crete.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're now the final week. And you've got Roy there, and he's now in a new suit. And he goes, and there's a picture of him and Blackie on the wall of his office. It says, see that picture, lads? Blackie Gray and myself have always been the very best of friends. Well, this is a story about a time when we got to be almost enemies, and all because of a dream he had about missing a penalty. So anyway, the story continues. And this is where we see Penny. You see Penny there? She looks like some sort of, oh my God, she looks like a witch. She says, my job as manager was on the line, says Roy, so it is my turn to dream, an idea which I hope would solve everything. Blackie, it's Roy, so he's on the phone, and he's got his great split screen. He's on the phone, and Blackie's on the phone. Blackie, it's Roy, don't hang up. This concerns the kids at Sunny Skies Home, your favourite charity. The kids? What about them? And so Roy continues. The outcome after a lot of string pulling was a match between Manchester Rovers and a Showbiz 11, with all the proceeds going to the children's home. And Roy's talking to Blackie. I wouldn't have asked you to turn out in the normal way, Blackie, as you're on the transfer list, but you are the kid's favourite uncle after all. You're right. Personal feelings shouldn't interfere, Roy. So Roy has a chat with one of the celebs in the Showbiz 11 and says, look, don't forget now, Les. Don't know who it would be. There was a famous person in the 70s called Les.
Dawson.
It's Les Dawson. They call him Les Dawson.
So
he's talking to Les Dawson.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a trim Les Dawson. So he's talking to Les Dawson.
Leslie Phillips, maybe, probably a bit better.
Leslie Crowther. Leslie Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shut that door.
Come on down. Shut that door.
Ding dong.
Anyway, okay. It says, look, don't forget now, Les Dawson. A real spectacular foul just before the end. Okay, Roy, as long as you don't run too fast, otherwise I won't be able to catch you. So they run onto the pitch, the game starts, and quickly the Showbiz 11 take the lead on purpose, though, because Charlie Carter's dived over it on purpose. So it's 1-0 to the Showbiz 11. Then Now the score is now 7-6, and Roy's plan is put into operation. So Roy's through on goal. Leslie Phillips then trips him over and it's a foul. It's a penalty. The ref's given it. Melchester will level the score now. The dream has started to come true, says Roy, thanks to the kids from the sunny skies at home. They all start shouting, Blackie, Blackie, Blackie. And Roy says, listen to that, Blackie. Go on, you take it. It's not all that important, and you don't want to disappoint your friends or fans. So, carefully, Blackie puts the ball on the spot. And Roy says, looking back, my plan was pretty transparent, though unfortunately, Blackie didn't give it too much thought. And more or less, like his dream, he missed. And he blazes it high and wide. And that's it. Rovers have lost. There's only seconds to go before the whistle. And that's it. And then they shake hands. Blackie's shaking Roy's hand. And he goes, that was all rather convenient, Roy. Reckon you set all that up? Me, Blackie, your captain, manager, and best pal? How could you suspect such a thing? And Penny's there saying, it's all over now, Blackie. But then Blackie returned to the team in fantastic style. So you got him in future games, and he scores. And he's scoring with a diving header, and it makes it 4-0. And the crowd are going, oh, we'll win the league and cup this year if we keep this sort of play up. Blackie Gray is back. He's letting everyone know it. And then in the final panel, Roy says, but Blackie had the last laugh, and I ended up with an unexpected souvenir of the dream business. And you've got there, in the final panel, Roy's got some leery pajamas there. And so he says, colourful to say the least, aren't they? Would you wear these pajamas, pals? And that's it. That's the end of that particular story, when Roy and Blackie, for a short while, were enemies.
Yeah, wow.
What about the youngster now? Where's he? Is he just
Oh, I don't know, Kevin. No, Kevin. You're always
Nobody
thinking
thinks
about
about him.
I think he's playing in a team with Errol Bridger and what's his name? Terry Keenan, was it?
And he's not Daft Blackhead. You know what he's done?
Yeah.
He's got a pair of his own pajamas now in Roy's bedroom for when he stays over when Roy's away. Penny, you can see in Penny's face. She's like, oh, I've seen them before.
Oh,
I was thinking about all these players that accumulated, and probably Roger Dixon and Mark Butler are still on the bench.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was, there's a story to be done there, definitely.
Definitely a story, yeah. So anyway, I'll carry on just a couple more pages. So in the 70s, next time there was, summer of 77. You see the twins there, when the twins have just been born.
Yeah.
And it's when he goes off to play for Pine City Pirates. He accompanies Roy over there, where the Rovers player Steve Mason, and they joined the Pine City Pirates for a summer. So you've got a couple of pictures on the screen of people watching this on YouTube, and you can see them in the Pine City Pirates.
There's the actor again.
Kit. That's some stonies everywhere. So that was a great story. I remember that one. Then this is an iconic cover. This is the Men of Melchester. I know you've covered this, Ian, when you were doing your review of the 77, 78.
Yeah, it went over both seasons. I think there's a few in 76, 77, and a few rest of the year. Yeah,
it's great artwork there by a friend of the show, David Skew.
Yeah,
it's the 23rd of July, 1977. And then, interestingly, when Roy took over as England manager in December 77, he didn't pick Blackie.
No, exactly.
So, by God, his best mate, his pal, he doesn't even pick his best mate. I mean,
I think the love didn't stretch far with Roy, did it? From himself, where Blackie obviously
even gave it to Mervyn Wallace, who had about 30 caps for Wales at this point as well. So
there he is again. The actor.
I think it was always quoted that Mervyn Wallace had one cap, but we never knew who for.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, there's different profiles on Mervyn Wallace, isn't there?
And then finally, this is the last one. You can see him when they came out in the white kit. You remember the white kit for a while, didn't they?
Yeah.
No surprise. You see Blackie again running onto the pitch behind Roy. And then that's it. And that's it for the 70s. That's the end of.
Wow.
That's the end for Blackie, wasn't it? Big decade for Blackie, the 70s.
Well, yeah. Well, is the 80s going to be even? Either.
Well, I can think of a couple of stories in the 80s, to be quite honest. Yeah,
definitely.
Gets interesting. Gets very interesting. I was just going to say one thing to Bygone though. I mean, and I do appreciate, I know where you're coming from, but surely isn't it great management there as Roy? You know, you've got to be ruthless as a manager. You can't just be picking your best friend for England, surely.
No.
No, but I don't know. I always thought without Blackie, you don't have Roy, do you? I don't think he was on. Yeah, in early when you read the like early ones as well, they did support each other. I thought
No,
I
wouldn't
do
disagree with
love
that.
Roy. It's just sometimes it just gets on me nerves a little bit.
It's a love-hate relationship, I
Yeah,
feel personally, but
I've made it up. I've gone public with it, but he's never come out and supported me. So still waiting.
well, he wasn't very happy about your expose when he sold you after that one appearance for Melchester. But again, I know there's been some NDAs signed there, so we won't push you on that, Bygone.
That's for another pod.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Another fantastic feature. Brilliant stuff. Always love to hear about Blackie Gray. Crikey, just shows what a character is. We're only just coming up to the 80s and we've done 5 parts.
Bloody hell, I know.
Yeah.
Gone on forever.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, it's certainly a strong character there. Oh, I must admit though, I enjoyed that one. He wasn't knocked out. He wasn't jumping out of a plane. He wasn't being kidnapped,
He
and he
didn't win
wasn't
the
falling.
European Cup this time, though,
Yeah, he
which is
didn't fall in love with a French actress. So, we went down a different route here. Well, do you know what? This next section, we're all going to take part in this, but he's been sat on the bench, and as you've already heard him say, he's better than that. He told Roy Race he shouldn't be on the bench. He told him not to sell him. Well, now he's time to shine, and he's going to kick off Collector's Corner. Go on, Bygone.
So yeah, I've got a few items for Collector's Corner. I've been secretly busy. Last few months, I think it's called an addiction now. So I have got. I think there's going to be a few screenshots for the people at home. We'll just see which order I've got them in.
Oh,
If you're
beautiful.
if you're watching on YouTube, if not, I'll try and explain them. Right. So the first thing I purchased was a local purchase from a little shop that's near me. It used to be a cinema, and it's been converted into like a not a I'm trying to
Rosebands.
think of it, not an antique store, but it's like similar, and they've got odd stalls in there,
Mhm.
and they've got a third or fourth floor, and I'd never been up there, and I went up last week, and I realised that they sell comics up there, and I've lived there
Oh,
like
wow.
15 years,
Oh my
and I
God.
managed to buy 6 issues of Victor.
Oh,
There was
brilliant.
6 issues in a pack for £6, which I thought was quite good value for money.
Yeah.
And it caught me eye because it's got the goals of Jimmy Grant, and also Stark is back with a great new football
Yeah,
story. So that was my first. I've never
what a
only
cover.
if I've bought collections in the past, they may have contained a couple of Victors, other than some specials and annuals. But I've got that, so I've got 6 issues in there that I'm savouring to read. I'm going to really enjoy reading them. You can't beat goals of Jimmy Grant. But as I say, the first one I picked up, I've just started reading it, flicking through it, and he's playing for Alton Rovers, and playing for his team is somebody called Duncan Fraser,
Yep,
which I
that's
didn't
right.
realise he played with him
Yeah.
in that
So
league.
that this has been mentioned briefly
Yeah,
on one of the Facebook groups, I think actually today. And it's a very interesting story because I remember this because Jimmy Grant, in actual fact, at Alton Rovers, he's the player, coach, player,
yeah,
manager. And they signed Duncan Frazier, and I forget which one. And I know Ridders did make a comment,
yeah.
but we'll have to try and pull that out. But because in Football Picture Story Monthly, Duncan Frazier actually leaves United for United's new rivals, which I must admit, again, it was one of those continuity things because there's a Riverton City or something that we'd never heard of before. But it's very interesting that we see Duncan Fraser transferred from United to 2 different teams.
So there's some investigation to do
Yeah,
there.
different
Um,
publications.
The next thing I bought was from a car boot sale, a Victor book for boys, 1988, and it's in great condition. And it was only a couple of pound, and I think the covers are fantastic on the Victors. And there's a good football story in there as well. But surprisingly, no goals of Jimmy Grant, which I thought that he might have featured in this because he was in the comic, I'm sure, around
Mm,
that time, but he's not in the annual. But there's a good story
interesting.
called Not Good Enough for City, which I think I might review in a future podcast.
Mhm.
The next thing I purchased, I just don't know it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, I've not got control of the thing. I've done that one. The next
Oh,
thing
hello.
is something that I never usually buy, which is a Commando
Yeah.
comic, and this is issue 4223 from 2009, I think it is. My eyes are absolutely shut. I can't tell if it's a 6 or 9. I think it's 2009, and it's called The Big Game. And why the reason I bought it from the same place as I got the comics from. Again, I just it fell out of a collection of Commandos I was flicking through to see if you had any football picture story monthly, and it's a football story, and it's a cracking story about of a player who plays during the war. And I'm going to feature this in a future pod, but it is actually a reprint. But it was first published in 1992.
Oh,
And
wow.
what I do like about this is it actually tells you who wrote the story, who is the artist. So the artist is somebody called Gordon Livingston. And I don't recognize him, to be honest, but it's a great story. It's obviously got a lot of war action in there,
Yeah.
but also a lot of football action as well. And I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. You can see it obviously on the screen for people who watch it on YouTube. But I know there's been a couple of Commandos, hasn't there? Several of them that do feature football stories. But it's really
Yeah.
interesting. And I think the team he was playing for is called it's Liver, Burgh. I don't know how you would pronounce that. Liverburg Albion. So
Liverpool, yeah.
it's not. I don't know if that's a team anybody's familiar with. I don't think it's.
First time I've ever heard that name, I've got to be honest with
No, yeah, but it's really really good book. So if anybody has it, or for the people who haven't, I'm going to do a review of that in a future podcast. The next thing I purchased was another All Action Monthly.
He's hooked on these. He's hooked on them.
It came up quite cheap when I saw it, so I just put an offer in and bought this one. And again, this features Races Rockets in there, Splash Gordon, who partnered Johnny Cougar as well in Tiger. And again, Roy's Action Replays in there, Charlie Champ's War. So again, there's going to be a few stories in there. I'll quite enjoy, and I might even save that for my holidays, like a summer special. And the last thing I purchased last week was something off Vinted, and it was the #1 issue of Champ comic. And I have already got a copy, but the reason I purchased this was because it was in immaculate condition, and it also contains the free gift, which was the Super Soccer game, but it was intact as well. It's not been played. It's not been
great condition. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I've never seen the available with not for that price. Is a issue on eBay at the minute for £70 for the same thing.
Wow.
So I think I've
Wow.
picked up a bargain. I only got it for £4.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I was quite happy with that.
Amazing.
I don't think I'm going to put it together. I've left it in the comic at the moment. I'm in two minds whether to put it together or just leave it.
I'll
Yeah.
leave it.
Yeah, I lost mine years ago. I definitely had that, and I did put it together. No, but I've never been one for the free gifts, so I've got no idea what happened to that.
No, I just thought it's like because I liked that I am still after issue number 85 if anybody has a copy of it and doing a once on the collector's corner. But no, I think as I say, I'm really enjoying your run through of the main Champ story. But I am gonna go back and read them as well because I never heard of Champ until I started doing this podcast with you guys. And now I'm buying bloody issues with free gifts.
I gotta say, yeah, be careful because I've been caught down that. I didn't. It's only because of this pod. I'd never heard of Bullet. I'd never heard of Buddy. I'd never heard of Crunch, and now I'm almost homeless because I've bought every edition.
We said the terms and conditions of being on the pod and also listening to the pod. We are not responsible for.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't.
Bankruptcy.
Yeah, I can't use it as a defense in the divorce proceedings.
No, you can't. We've all tried.
They're the things that I've purchased recently. So
cool.
That's my purchase.
Ian, anything in your collector's corner?
I do. I recently, in 2 different purchases, I've bought 64 editions of Match magazine for less than £20.
Wow, fantastic.
Plus postage, which wasn't a great deal. They go from September 1983 to the end of 1984. It's all the run bar 4 issues, but I do want 2 issues in August as well. I'm trying to hold it in front of my body here so people can see this, but that's a bit better. So people can see that on the YouTube. So that's the cover of one. And the reason I bought it is I want to get the full set of canon stories after losing them somewhere along the
Mm.
line. I had them all. I had all these match magazines, but they were all cut to pieces. I mean, I had the posters on the walls, all the
Yeah.
match facts were in a folder, and all the canons were in another folder as well. And I
Right.
can't find any of them now.
Oh,
So I bought these, and I did remember that Canon changed artist. I never realized who the artist was, though, until researching this. But I got this in this first issue that I've got is the third edition of Canon, and it's signed a couple of times by Steve McGarry. And
yeah.
so Steve McGarry did the
Mm,
first
mm.
9 issues
Oh,
of Canon, and it's a rare color page
that
of Canon.
yeah. You put for those you put that on the one of the Facebook groups. Was it the Roy of
Yeah,
the Rovers page? And
yeah.
I must admit that shocked me because I'd never seen Canon in color. I certainly don't remember it. Although I
No,
must admit I thought back in the day I got Match magazine when Canon was first released, but I'd forgotten about it being in color. So that
it
was
was,
very
yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah, the rest of it was only in black and white, I think. I don't
Yeah,
remember. I
yeah.
haven't gone through all the issues yet
Mm,
because I do want to try and get the first and second editions of Canon first before I start
yeah.
reading them. And
I'm
I'm in touch with a couple of dealers who are hopefully going to get back to me soon to see if they've actually got them in stock. Uh,
vital for the Canon
it
collectors as
is.
well is the Match Football Yearbook
It
1985. I
is.
don't know if you've got that or not.
I had it. Whether it's still at my dad's, I don't know.
The
I
reason being
really
is
hope it
because
is.
this in there they actually do player profiles of
That's
all the
it. Yeah.
characters in Canon, so
No, I've
that's definitely one to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, one day I might find it at my dad's again. It's probably still at the back of a cupboard, but I'm in no rush to look for it. But I might do one day. The rest of the yeah, say 9 issues. It was drawn by that one artist, and then he had a 5 issue break, and after that, it was drawn by an artist called Ron Tyner. And I'm not sure if anyone's heard of him because I haven't heard of him before or since for anything else. But I always thought he was a better artist, and I
That's
don't know
amazing. Yeah,
I
why.
thought,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I thought all of Canon actually. I thought all the strip, the art was good. I mean, a very gritty story, a great story
Was.
actually. It's in all honesty, it's. I always felt that the Canon story was a little bit more grown up. And of course, the one
Yeah.
thing that caught my eye back then was it was the first story that I'd ever come across with a fictitious team playing real life teams.
Absolutely. And they even
So,
updated the league table. It was about a
yeah,
week out of date each time,
yeah,
but they would have the fourth because in Canon they were in the fourth division and then the third division over
yeah,
2 seasons. And I'm shocked it actually didn't last more than 2 seasons. I love them
mm,
gone up to and do
yeah,
at least 4 years of it, but
mm,
didn't happen, c'est la vie.
mm,
But they would always have the league table in and they'd shove Stanton Town in the middle of two
yeah,
teams who were
yeah,
actually in the table. So it was pretty up to date.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Very clever. Very
Mm,
clever. Yeah.
Good.
brilliant. Well, should I go? Because I hadn't mentioned anything. I said that I wasn't going to be purchasing anything, but Bygone is a very bad influence. And I kind of found myself suddenly on eBay. And I really wish I hadn't, but I've managed to grab hold of a Tiger and Hurricane 15th of June. I think it's 69 here to help
Wow.
my tiger collection. So I now
Excellent.
just need 59 tigers. But in the same search, I went a little crazy and I've bought a whole load of Victors from 1964. So there's a pile. These go ranging from 64 to 65 Victors. I've also got some Victors as well from 69. Um, and I'm getting very excited, but I'm trying to curtail myself. I also have, I believe, so that I now
It's,
only need 20 editions of Victor.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
And I believe I've got one, two, three, four coming. So I will just need 16 editions for Victor. And what that will actually mean is from 1963, my editions of Victor to the end of the run from 63 will be complete. So I'll just need editions from the first 2 years of Victor. So, but I tell you what, it's very dangerous. I don't know what happens. Somehow I find myself on that. We mentioned the site eBay, other auction sites are available. And before you know it, I'm like, what have I done? Oh God, why have I done that? But yeah.
It's
And
weird,
then,
isn't it? It's like a hit. And then at 3 in the morning, you get that guilt, like, where the drugs worn off, and you're like,
Well, you
sweating in bed.
is this really the time and place to talk about your drug problems? But I mean,
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
it's comics, honestly.
comic, yeah.
It is. It's where you hide them around the house. Where you going? I'm just going for a walk to the garage to pick up my next delivery. What, what's under your jumper? Nothing.
Brilliant. Wow, that's my collector's corner. Mute.
Yeah, I've got a few bits just to whiz through quickly. I was up north for half term recently, and so I went to the old Pier bookshop, which if anybody who saw the Red Button pod we went to, me, Bygone and Tangent went to. So I have to
Yeah.
get something, because when you're in there, you have to buy something.
Oh, you
Yeah.
do.
Even
Yeah,
though I was telling
without
myself I
doubt.
don't need anything, so I've got a Valiant annual there, 1965,
It's nice.
which is a fiver. Whilst up there, I kind of bumped into Bygone Berrigan when I was up there, and
Oh,
he
nice.
very kindly gave me a couple of these doubles,
Yeah,
which is
brilliant.
trying to clear space. So for people not watching on YouTube, I've got the Score Annual 1974, which is a great time for Score annuals, that sort of period, and also another great one, which is the Tiger Annual 1974 as well. So some great stories in there, as you'd expect. And also, whilst because we were in Morecambe, my wife
look
was
at
going
that.
around. She was going around charity shops, and she managed to get the Victor
brilliant.
1990 annual as
And
well.
that looks in good nick. That
It's
does
really good, yeah.
look a good addition, actually.
Actually, yeah.
Lovely.
So it's got a goals with Jimmy Grant, and actually when he's playing for England, which is interesting because they've got the World Cup coming up. And the final one is, I wanted to get one of these for ages. This is what Phil's comics on eBay.
Wow.
I've been selling these. These are the bound versions of the Football Picture Story monthlies.
Oh my gosh.
So
fantastic.
obviously you guys have got many more of these than me, so I've kind of don't mind. But this is from 381 to 390.
Wow. Yeah, brilliant.
And it's in fantastic condition.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
And yeah, you get the sticker on there, and it's just look, all of these. Look, it's just
that's brilliant.
And that's from
fantastic.
the Thompson DC Thompson archives.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And it wasn't bad. I mean, it was 40 quid, which is not so much. But when you make that's 10. That's a good price. That's 10.
Do you know what? It's not the thing is. I mean, but it's the quality, and I've never seen. I didn't know that those existed, and I think it's just as well they don't, because I didn't want to get involved.
Well, they're on the site now, aren't they? They're up there.
I can't look because I've got every edition of Football Picture Story, and it just would be crazy. But they are immaculate, and I've never seen them displayed in that way. I mean, I think it is a unique collection, and so you are actually really. I'm going to talk myself into it, but you are going to be owning a piece of actual DC Thompson history there when they're bound like that.
Tangent.
Yeah. Well, do you know something?
Showing a bit of leg.
Yeah. For those listeners, I'm being teased greatly here by Mute, really showing that. It was actually very remiss of me because, in all honesty, like I said, I am going to blame Bygone, because Bygone also has been very nice to me as well. And I forgot about these, but thank you very much, Bygone. A handful of annuals for those listeners, ranging. We've got some, one, two, three tigers, then the Tiger Roy of the Rovers annuals, another tiger, another 2, 3 tigers, 4 tigers. So thanks very much from Bygone's collection of doubles. Much appreciated. But it's very bad because that's when I slipped off. I fell off the wagon and I was on eBay. They came through the post, and before you knew it. So I've just realised who I need to blame for this. But there you go.
A feeder. A comic feeder.
Yes, exactly.
You're next, Ian.
I wonder what Roy's got to say about that. Well, I think that about wraps up all we've got time for in this pod. Some great sections there, and more about our addiction and our own collections growing.
Comics Anonymous.
There's Comics Anonymous. Yeah. Bygone, as you spent a little bit of the time on the bench today before submitting to your addiction and letting us all know about it, any final thoughts, and do you want to say your goodbyes?
No, it's again a really enjoyable episode. I've enjoyed Ian's feature on 1986 Roy of the Rovers. It's when I started really getting into Roy of the Rovers then as well. Like I said, I think they were good solid stories with good solid artists. I really enjoyed that. And again, Mute's section on Blackie I do have a love-hate relationship, but I do like Blackie. And again, it's lovely seeing great artwork of Yvonne Hutton and
Yeah,
how lucky they were at the time. I was only one. No, I wasn't even one. I'd been born in May
yeah,
of '76. To have two comics with Roy of The Rovers in at the same time with two great artists, they
yeah,
were spoiled, weren't they? But
yeah.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, really enjoyed it today.
Cool. Time Traveller, the latest installment.
Yeah, thanks very much for letting me on again and doing this. There's only a few more to go now, well over halfway. So I think there's six more left, but we'll spread them out a bit. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But yes, and no, it's great listening to Matt's section on Blackie Gray, and I think I know what's coming in the 80s. You've got a bit of player managership, you've got a bit of apprentices, and then you're falling off the wagon. Oh, there's so much. Oh, that's the 90s
There's a
then.
lot.
There's so much drama to come anyway from Blackie Gray. But yeah, great stuff.
Well,
Thank you.
all I'm going to say, which is quite interesting, in the 80s, there might be some penalty drama as well, but
There
you
could
never
be.
know.
There could be, yeah.
You Arsenal fans, you can't stop talking about penalties, can you?
No, no.
Yeah. But Blackie didn't kind of like hover and then wiggle his feet a bit before running up to take it, though.
Well,
And he did score, and he
if you
scored.
need
He
if you
scored, and
need someone to take a fifth penalty in the European final, look no
yes,
further than Blackie
Mm,
Blackie
Gray.
Gray.
That's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
I'm going to
exactly.
say. That's all I'm going to say. Mute button.
yeah. I always enjoy obviously time travelers' work, but it's really interesting that 86, 87. I kind of drifted away from the comic then, but see the story. You mentioned YTS and apartheid in South Africa. Quite gritty
Yeah.
storylines there. So.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. Yeah, and I love seeing everything that people are buying. The fact that we always kind of say, well, we're going to stop buying stuff,
Yeah.
and then we find buying stuff as well.
Here's another 20 editions
But
I've
at
just
least,
somehow got.
at least we're just transferring some of the stuff around to various collections, aren't we?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Dear. Brilliant stuff, and
Fantastic.
yeah, thanks. Really enjoyed it.
Well, brilliant stuff. I am going to just do a couple of things. Obviously, thanks to the guys tonight. Brilliant features, and yeah, bygone. We'll have words afterwards with this addiction. Do you know what's more worrying is the feeder. But I thought I would, because I can't remember if we did in the last pod, but we don't always now. But as was mentioned, with in Collector's Corner, the Cannon story, and Bygone as well, the Jimmy Grant. So at the moment on the Facebook groups, the champ. We are United Football Picture Story monthly fans. I'm currently at the moment updating each day some stories from Jimmy Grant, momentous moments where we've done obviously is the first appearance of Jimmy Grant when he played for Brentworth Albion in the non-league, and I've just kind of now published in the last couple of days he's moved to Brompton Albion and his first appearance for them. Of course, there is the other fantastic site which is Roy of The Rovers. I think it's still 40 years old at the moment.
Yeah, it's got to be renamed eventually.
Yeah. So Roy of The Rovers comic 40 years on, in brackets Melchester Rovers. Ed Taylor, friend of the show. It's a brilliant page for all of your Roy of The Rovers stuff that you want. And of course, well, we'll always bemoaning on it, but there is some comic content out there and it's still going. It's now a weekly online magazine, and the Facebook group for that is Striker World. Get your Nick Jarvis and your Warbury Warriors feel if you can. And there's a brilliant Facebook group there. And of course, Terry Angus, who gave us some fantastic feedback and featured in the Melvin's Musings. He's one of the site managers there. Yeah, I mean, do you want to just mention?
Well, yeah, we're on Instagram, obviously on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, and please like and subscribe to that. And of course, we're on X as British Football Comics, or still champ_R. Yeah.
We're there. Right. Well, I'm going to say that's a wrap, and we're going to be back in a couple of weeks' time. A very momentous time for football, and you never know, there might be some fictitious World Cup action coming your way. We'll see you then.
Ooh.
Goodbye.
Bye.